The Clemson DD-336 and Clemson DD-213 are a pair of 3.7 American destroyers. As the first destroyers America gets, they aren't particularly powerful, but can serve as alright ships for learning how the larger ship types play. The Clemson class was originally built in 1918 to 1922. 156 were completed, making them one of the most numerous destroyer classes ever built. These ships served from 1919 to 1948 in various navies: the US Navy, the US Coast Guard, the Royal Navy, the Royal Canadian Navy, the Soviet Navy, and the Imperial Japanese Navy all used the Clemson at various points. Both USS Litchfield, DD-336, and USS Barker, DD-213, spent the majority of World War II escorting convoys. The Litchfield was scrapped in 1946, and the Barker was sold in 1945. Both DD-336 and DD-213 come with 4 of the 4-inch 50 caliber gun. These only fire 8 rounds per minute and have a pretty slow rotation speed. At most, you can get 3 on target with the broadside. There's no angle at which all 4 can aim at a single ship. This gives it a worse damage output than most of the other 3.7 destroyers, with the exception of the British Clemson. These guns get a choice of 3 shell types: an HE shell with 1.21 kilograms of TNT and 16mm of pen, a common or SAP shell with 519.4 grams of TNT and 100mm of pen, and an HE base fuse shell with 1.21 kilograms of TNT and 50mm of pen. The HE base fuse shell is the best, as it has a large amount of explosive filler along with penetrating slightly into the target before detonating. The standard HE shell is a direct downgrade, while the SAP's shell penetration isn't enough to warrant losing over half of the explosive filler. Next comes the secondary and anti-air weaponry. Both Clemsons get a 3-inch 23 caliber cannon, while DD-213 gets a pair of Oerlikon cannons. This means that DD-336 has no real anti-air defense, which is a major disadvantage. This is also the most notable difference between the two ships. The 3-inch gun is pretty mediocre, being able to deal alright damage to ships and miss every single plane that it tries to shoot consistently. The 20mm are much better at deterring aircraft, but this is still a rather lackluster anti-air armament. With no form of airburst ammunition on the main guns, your only real option is to hope that enemy aircraft simply attack someone else. The 3-inch guns get 2 shell types: an HE shell with 340 grams of TNT and 7mm of pen, and a common, or SAP shell, with 62 grams of TNT and 58mm of pen. The drop in HE filler is so significant that I can only recommend the HE shell. The SAP shell simply does too little damage to be worth using. When it comes to secondary weapons, the Clemsons are actually pretty interesting. Both have 12 torpedoes, split into 4 racks, with 2 on each side of the ship. DD-336 has Mark 8 torpedoes, while DD-213 has Mark 15 torpedoes, which have a higher speed and more explosive mass, but also have the same range. This is a very impressive torpedo loadout for the BR, and it can give the Clemsons 2 full spreads of 6 torpedoes down a choke point. DD-213 can get torpedo mode, while DD-336 cannot, but whether range or speed are better depends on your playstyle. The survivability of both ships is pretty average. They both lack any notable armor and have the same crew count of 150. The mobility is also pretty average, with a top speed of 65 km per hour along with slow turning and acceleration. For playstyle, I would say that the Clemsons rely on planning and thinking. The torpedoes are a very important part of making this ship work, as it turns it from a below average ship to one that has a lot of potential. If you can accurately predict where enemies will be and fire torpedoes to intercept them, these ships can actually be quite effective. These ships won't be winning direct gunfights easily, so it's best to rely on timing torpedo barrages to catch enemies off guard. If you are caught in a gunfight, most destroyers or frigates will have a much higher damage per minute, forcing you to knock out their guns or quickly be torn apart. This isn't very easy to do, so avoiding direct engagements and shooting unaware targets is a much better approach. I think the ability to accurately use torpedoes is a deciding factor for how effective this ship is, as none of the other attributes really stand out. I'm not particularly good with torpedoes, but the potential that 12 torpedoes have at this BR is pretty high. For modifications, both follow the same general order: toolset, fire protection, rudder replacement, 4-inch HC Mark 15, propeller replacement, shrapnel protection, improved rangefinder, and engine maintenance. For crew skills, prioritize leadership, main caliber reload speed, crew interchangeability, fire prevention, and ship control. And lastly, thanks for watching. I've got a review on a much more unique ship coming later in this week, so don't forget to subscribe to see that one as soon as possible. It's going to be a fun one.